moved with his family to Miami. Growing up, he was very passionate, making a living as a professional musician, or as many Brazilians, a soccer player. Brazil! Before joining the Capuchin Franciscan Friars, he earned a bachelor's degree in biology at UMass in Dartmouth and a PhD in molecular cell and developmental biology at University of Miami Miller School of Medicine. His dissertation topic was focused on trying to find new biomarkers for bladder cancer diagnosis and prognosis and investigating how some members of the... You're going to have to help me with that.
Hyaluronic acid family model.
Be promoting tumor growth and progression. Sorry, English is my second language. After drifting away from faith during college, embracing the party and hooking up culture, so pervasive in our time, he experienced a deep conversion where intimacy with God through prayer and his merciful love gradually led him to discern God's calling to be a Capuchin friar. He will be sharing his vocation and conversion story along with insights about God's continual invitation to daily conversion. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, everybody. Good evening. We're starting a little late, we cannot expect better from Franciscans, especially if you guys from Brazil, Latinos, It's actually early. We're starting only at 7:20, so I am honored, I'm humbled, I'm blessed to be here tonight with you guys, to also have had the opportunity to look back into my past a little bit, to share a little bit of my life. We are people of memory. We are people that have a history. Pope Francis talks about identity. Without a sense of belonging, there's no identity. We have to have roots. We have to always look back and to see where we were so that we know where we're going. So just like the Israelites back in the desert, sometimes they wander off, not knowing what's going on. God was always there, but sometimes you don't feel it, sometimes you don't see it. And they always called to see the wonders that God had done to their fathers. So for me, it's been a blessing to also look back into my life and just to put things into perspective of how God had called me, how I had strayed away from Him and all His mercy. So rather than focusing on myself tonight, what I ask of you guys is to have this as an activity of reflection. Let me be simply a passive history as you're reading a book. And just look at your own lives and see how God has been acting in our lives. And if you still feel far away from God, if you still feel barriers in your own lives and things that have to be changed just open your heart to Him. Let my story just simply be just another testimony of what God can do. Not because I deserve it or I have worked so hard, but because God is merciful and He loves us. So, as Doris was saying, I was born in Rio. I was born in Brazil. I have a father who is a doctor, he's a gynecologist, my mother was a professor, and my sister, so three of us. And in Brazil, big country, big Catholic country, it's probably the biggest Catholic country in the world right now. About 70% of the population are Catholics. But not every Catholic in Brazil, like here, are really practicing Catholics. In Brazil, unfortunately, there's a lot of mixing of religions. And my family, unfortunately, suffered from that. When I was born, my grandmother had, I'm not sure how long ago, but she had strayed away into something called Spiritism, which is like, it's something definitely not Catholic, it's actually demonic. But they offer it in such a way that they use the Bible, they talk about Jesus and do all those things, but they actually conjure in spirits of the dead and that kind of stuff. They believe in reincarnation. And in Brazil, unfortunately, that's common. It's not huge, but it's common. So I remember growing up, and my mom also unfortunately got involved with that. And I remember going up and going to those places. Like I was baptized. I didn't even know what was going on there. I just went there, and they give a little water and drink the water, and then you go to a dark place and people are just praying and whatever. So I didn't know much was going on. But interesting thing is that God has always had a very present and very forceful way of showing His way in my family. A person that belonged to this same spirituality or whatever cult to call it came up to my mom one of the days she was there, and she said, he looked at her and said, every time I look at you, I see priests and bishops. You don't belong here. Leave. So she was like, okay. So she left, My life of faith wasn't really very prominent growing up. We used to go to mass and Sundays and that kind of stuff, but it wasn't that big. When I was 2 years old, my father, being a doctor, was invited to go to University of Southern California to do research, developing new techniques. I didn't know what it was actually about, but about infertility. And since he came to America, he always wanted to move back. And he had this dream of us coming here and studying here and growing up here. But since I was like 2 years old, every year he would be saying that we would move to the United States, and we never moved. So that became kind of the joke. But because of that also, I had kind of a normal childhood, but also normal childhood because we moved around a lot in Brazil. My dad would always try to find different places to live, to make more money. I was born in Rio at 4 years old, and moved to different states, and then moved somewhere else. Total times I moved to Brazil was close to about like 17, 18 times. So I think God was preparing me to a vocation as a missionary, in religious life, even before I actually thought of anything. And also in a humorous way, in a sense, there was kind of a prelude of the problems that were happening in my life. My dad being a gynecologist and having all those things in my house, all those books, all those tools, you guys imagine that kind of stuff, When I was 4 years old, to my defense, I didn't know what I was doing, but when I was 4 years old, my dad had a gynecology atlas at home. So imagine the pictures that were in that book, I took that to school for show and tell. And, needless to say, they freaked out my parents. I used to play snake shots with diaphragms. You name it, it's just there. And so that was normal. Moving on a lot, like I said before, to me I got used to being always a new kid in school. It was tough to make friends, meet friends. There were years that I went through 3 different schools. I was starting a school, going to another school, finishing another school. Because my mom has been involved in education, she was kind of like a military when it comes to school. Anything under a B is like you're grounded. And B, she would give me like the bed, So thanks be to God, I did well in school always, but it was tough. It was always tough being a new kid in school. But because of that, also I had the ability to make friends easily. Being kind of shy always, but not too shy, but I'm always being able to approach people and be approached by people. And on this topic too, I'd like to introduce a very problem in my life at 6 years old. A lot of us have traumas, a lot of us have hurts in our past that sometimes plague us for a big part of our lives. And St. Teresa of Avila, in her book, in her autobiography, she talks about the importance of good friendship. She says, it really doesn't matter how virtuous you are or how holy you are, we're not that strong. Flesh is weak, even though the spirit is willing. And she talks about how, for her, even though God has graced her so many great mystical experiences, being involved with the wrong people at the wrong time, she almost lost herself. And at the age of 6 years old, a person that was my friend at the time introduced me to masturbation. I didn't even know what it was. It actually took me maybe 12 to 13 years old to understand what that was exactly. And it didn't really click. But there's always this pressure, And growing up too, I've kind of been always around kind of shy of pursuing the girls I liked, Back in my days, I had a lot more hair up here, less over here, and I kind of used to, I don't know if you guys seen the movie Zoolander, and I kind of used to, the blue steel kind of thing, and right now it doesn't really work that well, but talk about chastity, that doesn't matter. But I've always been pressured to date, perhaps being always a new kid in school, always being the interesting guy, for the girls like, oh, look at him, and there was actually one time when I was maybe 6th grade, I moved to this place, and after I made friends with the guys there, they told me, no, you come here to the school, the girls all saying how cool you are, you're gonna beat you up, we're gonna kick your ass. Well, you're kind of cool, so we're not gonna do that. And I'm like, oh, thank you, But I've always been kind of like a hopeless romantic, very picky with girls, Like I would always fall for the girls that had the worst kind of troubles. And I kind of love you, but I can't be with you kind of thing, like soap opera, very Latino, So I would write this letters prayers for them, I love you in different languages and that kind of stuff, 10 meters long and that kind of stuff. Just end up alone, praise be God. But I also grew up playing sports. Soccer is very big in Brazil. My grandfather was a professional soccer player. My dad was invited to play professionally as well, but his grandfather hit the ladder from him, so he wasn't able to become a doctor, which is actually a better choice. So sports have been big in my life, and also music. 13 years old, I was introduced to singing, and before I just used to scream, the first CD I really listened to was Nirvana, acoustic. So I used to scream, and my mom was like, "Shut up!" Just scream, and then eventually things picked up later on, and I learned how to sing a little bit. So I constantly had this pressure from people, from friends, oh, this girl around you, you don't want to hook up with them, that kind of stuff, blah, blah, blah. At 13 years old, some group of friends actually organized a situation for me to lose my virginity with a girl that was 16. Just so happened that God did not allow that to happen. My parents got home early. The girl had to just piss out from the back door, around the age of 16, I came to the States. Didn't want to come here. I had just started my rock band there in Brazil, I felt like it was the coolest thing since sliced bread. I was dating this girl I liked, so hopping in a plane going to Miami, at 16 I thought my life was over, and my parents, trying to save money also to move here, they tried to buy the cheapest flight to come to America, and that was a bad idea, That plane, I swear to God, I almost crashed it 3 times. It was shaking so much, luggages were falling down from the thing. It was an old man, like close to just pretty much just going to God, like smoking the entire flight. It was just like it was crazy. But as anything that happens in our lives that we don't have any security, that we don't know anybody, when we come to this country, I kind of know the language a little bit because my parents have made the effort to have me go to some American schools and also take English classes too, but I didn't know English that well. So we were to Miami, but we didn't have any friends. So what happened? Go to God. So my mom started going to church and bringing us to church. Not that we ever didn't go to church, but it became something more serious. So my mom had a really close personal encounter with God, and she became very, very fervent. I eventually did too. And so I came to Miami in 1998. In Miami, it's a very interesting place because you're in America, but you're not really in America. I learned Spanish before I learned English. It was really strange, And the first school that I've been to kind of tried to trick the system because there was this school that all people that I knew, the Brazilians, the Latinos were going, and some said hi, All the pretty girls were there too. I was so happy. Went there for like a month. They found out where I lived. They were not supposed to go there. Put me in a school in the ghetto. And just being there, it was awesome. It was one of the best experiences in my life because not only I was away from all the Spanish speaking, but that school had a lot of characters, and people wanted to be like, "What up, dog?" And I was like, "Call me a dog." My English is very just basic, But I played soccer I went to Southbridge High, and we had a really good soccer team. I really enjoyed my time there. There was great people there, awesome. And at that time, I had my first, personal encounter with God. I was 17 years old. I went to a retreat. It was a charismatic retreat. Second time I've been to a retreat. The first time, I was petrified. Charismatic renewal was kind of big in Brazil. And the first time I go, this priest is praying for people with the Blessed Sacrament, and this old lady was like, shh, bah. Sleep, man. Now I know she was laying in spirit, but bah, right in front of me, and I'm like, she died. And the priest goes like this. And he continued, I'm like, are you serious? There's something happened to her, why is that going to her? I'm like, oh my God, what's happening? And I'm like, bah! I'm the person I'm like, oh, what's going on? And then when they prayed over me, I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to fall, 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 I don't want to fall. I was so scared. So my second experience was much better. But the same priest was a priest in the second retreat. He came from Brazil. And he came up to me and my friends. He said, one of you guys is going to be a priest. It's a prophecy. It doesn't come from me. And then he said that. My friends were like, no. And then with me, it was just this happiness. It was really strange. Something came up over me which I don't know how to explain. It was just this certitude. It's like, it's you. And I'm like, what? Are you serious? I'm like, yes, it's me. But I never thought about this. So for a few months, I started praying more, reading the Bible and that kind of stuff. But that didn't last too long. Again, I'm not sure, all the conditioning from society, all that kind of stuff, you know. I went to Brazil for 1999 to renew my visa because we didn't sneak in the country per se, but we kind of went around ways. And I came in as a student, and like God granted us to stay as permanent residents first, so we had to renew a student visa first. When I went back, my dad was living in a small town, and I go there, I met this other kid who was about my age, was the son of the other doctor in town, and the kid was all about just trying to sleep with the girls in that place, and I became friends with him, more friends, we just met him. And so that's what we did. So we went to a party, same day that we went to a party, it was just this thing about this girl, I met this girl, I was attracted to her, started kissing her, and I just kept on pushing, she never gave me the stop sign, you know. And it ended up that I lost my virginity with her. To be honest, I don't even remember her name. We was on the street, and I'm being very honest with this, just so you guys can see that, you know, I'm not wearing this because I'm worthy of wearing this, but because God called me. But I lost virginity to this girl that I don't remember her name. It was in front of her house at 2 in the morning or something like that. And just thinking back now, I just imagine to see if her parents had seen somebody treating her beloved daughter like that, what would they think, you know? So that happened the first time, and for a while, you know, I regretted it, shouldn't have done that kind of stuff, confessed. And when I was go back, I think, you know, maybe we should wait for marriage to have sex and that kind of stuff. And I had my first serious girlfriend in my senior year of high school, like serious real girlfriend. We did for 6 months. Again, that was not a chase relationship. After that, I started going to college in 2001, and at this point, I was living in Massachusetts. I got into school. I was part of the soccer team at UMass Dartmouth. I applied there to study chemistry in pre-med. For some reason, I was really bored with it. I changed to economics, and no offense to Tage, it was just so boring about it. I just kept banging my head like almost against the walls. I can't do this. I switched to biology afterwards. But at college is really when things kind of took a really downward spiral in my own life. It just became a lot easier to hook up with girls. It got a lot, even more, girls are destroying themselves, you know. I don't know about it is it to be an immigrant with an accent sometimes. Like, I know you're from Brazil, blah, 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 blah. You're so hot, it's a big accent, but an accent you have, you know? And I'm like, yeah, it works, whatever. So that started happening. And in a sense, I was thinking about this time as I was reflecting to give him this talk. How can God allow me to have strayed away so much from Him? I definitely see a hand of the evil one in this. But it was just very interesting how easy it was, you know. There was a girl from class, it was even a TA from my class, and girl here, girl there, and in between I attended a student group conference. Again, confessed, trying to be chaste, I want to be chaste for you, Jesus, and that kind of stuff. Then I met another girl, which I dated for 6 months. And when I met this girl, I wasn't even attracted to her. She was beautiful, but the first time I met her, she's like, I get my father's credit card and I buy stuff behind his back online and everything. I'm like, that's horrible. Why are you bragging about that kind of stuff? But the thing is, she was very attractive. She was one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen in my life. And we had a big group of friends we used to hang out with. And my friends, when they saw her, they just flocked. You know, like, bacon, you know? And I'm like, I'm not gonna do that. So I just hung out with the girls that were my friends. But when you do that, why he's not giving me attention? So she just kept on looking at me, you know? I knew how to play that kind of game and get that kind of attention from her and stuff like that. So I knew that from what she said, she used to just play with guys and mess with guys and then just go around. And for some reason, I guess I tried to take up the cause of the guys and say, I want to mess with you instead, you know? So I started messing with her. I said, she goes, let's go clubbing sometime. And I started flirting with her. I said, but I'm not sure you're going to be able to with me, you know, I'm from Brazil. You guys don't have anything in Brazil, you know. We don't have a dance, baby, you know. So we tried to we picked up a day to go clubbing, and what do? I dissed her. Didn't go. So that made me even more attractive for some reason. So for a while, this girl she was finding me online and sending me messages, blah 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 blah. And it just so happened that I started liking her, you know, and we started dating. And again, it wasn't a chase relationship, but it was really a relationship that really hurt not only me, but her a lot because one, it was not love, you know, it was definitely not love. It was just pure attraction, passion, that kind of stuff. And we just did not, there's no click. And I'm not talking about chemistry, I'm just talking about, I was in Mars and she was in Jupiter. It was just completely different worlds, you know? But it was just kept on the thing, forcing. By the time that we broke up, my parents also were having trouble, we ended up getting divorced. And at that time, I really was in like a dark place. My dad one time, almost got physical with my mom, and I almost got physical with him. And since that time, it took me about 5 to 7 years to really forgive him for that. So my parents got divorced, and then really the worst began, I guess. I used to go clubbing. My friends would take me to strip clubs sometimes. I never really liked strip clubs that much. I felt kind of sad going to those places. But just went to clubbing, drinking, hooking up with a lot of one-night stands. It just, like I said, it just happened. I only had one chase relationship, quote unquote, and this time, in which I was tricked. And let me explain what this means. Well, in Brazil, there's this culture of, we say ficar, which is kind of like you go out to a party and you meet somebody, you're attracted to them, you just make out with them, and then you leave the place and there's no strings attached, you know? And I thought that this was happening. And then one of my good friends told me, oh, your girlfriend. And the moment that she put that label in, I'm like, crap, how do I get out of this right now, you know? So we dated for about a month, and I just kept on trying to get out of the relationship, and I wasn't able to. So that was the only chase relationship at that time. And at that point, you know, it's just that thing, you know. It is the culture, people are doing it, you do it, it feels like it's a fun thing to do. But at the end of the night, you're alone. But not only alone, your worst naturally began. I always knew that I was doing what I was not supposed to do. Every time it just became worse and worse. It got to the point, and this sounds horrible, it got to the point that I was forbidden to hook up with my sister's friends. Because I would get with them, not wanting anything to do with them, and then when they kind of felt kind of awkward to go to my house and be with my sister, so she thought, yeah, I'm losing my friends because of you, you're forbidden to hook up with them. So my life was just full of darkness and emptiness. I was just trying to fill an infinite dark hole I had in my heart with all of this, you know. But it got to the point that I was getting with people that were girls that had boyfriends. I got jumped by people before to beat me up, and I was like, I didn't even complain about it. I deserved it because I hooked up with a girl that had a boyfriend. But I was just, and this actually happened when I was living in school. I lived a year in school, and that was a really bad idea. So I decided to move back to my mom's house and just be there, write songs, that kind of stuff, you know, not the blues or have a dog and sit in a parlor and that stuff, not that, but, you know, just write songs. But then I eventually met a girl online, Juliana. She's from Brazil, and she was living in Miami. I was in Massachusetts still, and we kind of started dating long distance. I used to go to Miami sometimes to see her, and after 6 months, I graduated with a degree in biology, and I moved to Miami to try out to see if that was God was asking me to do, was be with her. So I moved there. In the back of my mind, I had kind of like, I really don't know what I wanted to do. I always kind of wanted to be a rock star kind of thing, you know. Never had a band that played one show out, to be honest. But so I moved to Miami, and just there, you know. For some reason, and I don't know what God works with anything. That's the thing. I say God is the best, biggest recycler. You know, we can just throw anything at Him to get good out of it. And sometimes I just do things. And my thing was, I woke up one day and like, I'm going to apply to grad school. I'm just gonna do it. The deadline was December 31st. I applied in March. Somehow, a girl dropped out. There was a position open. They said, you have a position, you want to join? I'm like, sure. So I went in, had to take the GRE twice. I hate this test. It sucks. I really enjoyed research. And God also had that. And at this time, it was funny because I have to say, in all of this time, even though it seemed that I strayed away from God so much, He was never away because He never allowed me to suffer the consequences of my action as I should. But also, He was always leading me to where He wanted me. So I go to University of Miami, started doing the PhD thing there, enjoying it. And as I talked to Jen before, she was on a postdoc. And when you're doing a PhD, you have to do some rotations in labs before you pick your lab. And God really, it was just crazy how things happened. You know, the first lab I picked, I was working on a project. Whatever I did, they needed for publications. I got a paper out of my first rotation. So 3 months in there, that almost never happens. My second rotation, same thing happened. I got 2 papers out of 2 rotations. And then I met my PhD, and I really felt drawn towards working for her in her lab. Or something that she said. She said, when you're working in a field that you're working, you have such a great opportunity to help other people. You can do something for your own ego and think how smart you are and really become famous because there is some type of prestige in the field. But you can also help people. What do you want to do? And when she said that in the talk, I'm like, that's awesome. And so I joined her lab, and she became kind of like a mother to me. She was from India, strict. She was like a general. She was like, bring back your neck, and all that. You can even do anything without her being there. But it was awesome. And I had a good 2 first years there. But at that time, I started having trouble with the girlfriend at the time, Juliana. We started having fights and problems. And again, not a chaste relationship. Well, perhaps I'll get into this a little right now. Love is like an arrow. And when I say the love is like an arrow, a love has to pierce through the body into the soul. If the love stops at the body, it's not love. I'm loving myself because I'm loving the pleasure that the person is giving me. I mean, there is some type of love involved, you know? But my love is simply about pleasing myself. Even though I might have wanting a person's good and that kind of stuff, it is still a very selfish love. Love is also desiring the well-being of the person, and sometimes the detriment of mine is to see how that person is the person that perhaps I would like to spend the rest of my life with if I'm dating. If I'm married, that person is an extension of myself, my better part. And it's not so much about me expecting things in return, but it's so much of me simply loving that person, seeing God in that person, putting my life down, carrying that cross for that person, and knowing that happiness is not so much about receiving but in giving. It's about emptying ourselves. And my relationship have never been like that before. And she was a very good girl, and she was very attracted to me and attached to me to the point that when we were breaking up, getting back together, breaking up, getting back together, she went so far as to get breast implants just to hope that I would stay with her. And it was really sad. When she told me that afterwards, I just felt like I didn't feel like it was my fault to make her do it because I never told her to, but at the same time I felt guilty because I was involved with her. So we broke up, and again I started kind of drifting towards the old ways of wanting to go here and there with girls and stuff like that. And then it started what I really call God's big intervention to my conversion experience, which I've been playing guitar in church the whole time. I've been receiving communion in mortal sin for all that time, to be honest, too. Knowing that I should be receiving, but not knowing exactly what I was doing fully. And at that time, I was talking to 2 girls at the same time from Colombia. One girl was a single mother, which I was really attracted to her. And she was Protestant, and the other girl was just a girl I met in school. She told my friend, give me him my number, so he can call me and that kind of stuff. And I was really attracted to the girl that had a single mother. We'll call her Jay. So I wanted to be with her, had a date with her and that kind of stuff, but the other one was right there, so went up, went clubbing, got drunk, first night slept with her. And at the same time, the other one kept on talking about Jesus. Where's Jesus? Jesus, 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 Jesus. And I'm like, where's Jesus in my life, But I kept on having this relationship with the other one, not really a relationship, but kind of like a use me, I use you kind of thing. And one day, she, after the fact, she looked at me and she said, I have to tell you something. I am bisexual. I used to go to bliss parties with my ex-boyfriend and look for other girls so we could have like orgies with him, that kind of stuff. And when she said that, it was just this fear just into me. And I'm like, what am I doing? With whom am I doing? Why don't you just shoot myself in the head? You're just playing Russian roulette with a bunch of people you don't even know. You know? And I'm just like, oh my God, what am I doing? You know? I didn't even know I could have whatever disease at this point. And I didn't even know this woman, and she talked about having orgies. I'm sleeping with this girl. So I prayed this prayer for the second time, and it always works. God, if you don't want her to be with me, take her away from me. The girl just disappeared. And went to doctors, got tested for that kind of stuff. I praise God for even saving me from that stuff. So he was always very merciful. And then, but the thing stayed with the other girl. Jesus, 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 Jesus. I'm like, where's Jesus in my life? And at that point I was like, you know what, I'm tired. I don't want to be hooking up with anybody anymore. I just want to be alone. And my mom has this radar. She knows the things that happen. I didn't even have to tell her. And she was like, I have to move to Florida because this kid is going out of control. So she decided to move to Florida. She's like, I'm going to be taking you for youth groups and this and that, blah, blah, blah. And the first time I go to youth group with my sister, what happens? I meet another girl. And the first time I met her, we were going afterwards for dinner afterwards, and very sneakily, it's like, oh, I don't want my way around, can I have your number so we're not going to get lost, I can call you after. So she gave me her number, and but at this point, I just didn't want her to be doing the things I was doing anymore. We started talking on the phone, and I even tried to scare her away. She told me, like, what are you looking for? I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what are you looking for in a person? I'm like, honestly, I'm not looking for anything right now. I mean, everything I've done to this point has been crap. And I just don't want anything, I don't want anybody right now. And she was very, I don't know, she loved what I said, and I don't know, for some reason. But she was a very good girl, very strong Catholic girl. I knew that if I were to date her, things would have to change. And I decided to pursue that. And that was, we had a chaste relationship, thank God. Of course, there's a lot of you trying to live a chaste relationship. Sometimes very hard, especially in this world nowadays. But thanks be to God that was always chaste. But what happened is that, I was going through this stage that, I started just wanting to be more with God, praying more, going to church more. And she was kind of like in a place in her spiritual life that she was kind of like felt like she just tanked somewhere. She just stayed. And I was like in this fire because I'm coming from like this darkness and tasting a little bit of light, So one day, and then it's her fault. One day she went for a trip and she left me with a bunch of movies. Think about St. Padre Pio, she was a Capuchin, or John Paul II, and a bunch of other movies about saints, And she's like, oh, the Padre Pio, blah, blah, blah. He used to get beat up by demons and stuff. I'm like, oh crap, I don't want to watch that stuff. I don't want to deal with demons. No. But I'm like, the movie was there. I'm like, I'm not going to watch it. I'll watch it, fine. And I started watching it, I'm looking at the movie, I'm like, that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool to be a friar, walking around with a beard and sandals and stuff. Praying. That's kind of cool. But in the middle of the movie, there was a scene that John Paul II showed up. He was asking for prayers. And I had the movie John Paul II, I'm like, why not? Just pop it up. So I started watching that. And he kept on mentioning John the Cross. John the Cross, John the Cross, John the Cross. Like, who's this dude, Go online, John the Cross, and I read the first paragraph of Spiritual Canticle. That thing was so beautiful that I was like, oh my God, what this guy has with God, this is what I want. I want this, right? This. That same night, I just drove to Barnes & Noble. I was like, I'm going to buy this book. I have to buy his book. I couldn't find it. I was so angry. Oh my God, travel here for nothing. I need to buy this book. I need to buy this book. I need to buy this book. And then I'm looking around, and then I pick up this book, and it was just this urge. It was not a voice, but it screamed at me, buy this, buy this. I'm like, I'm not going to buy this. I was like, I've been living my life just in impulse up to this point. I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do this. I was like, buy this, buy this. And we really strong. I was like, I'm not going to do it, I'm not going to do it. Walked away from it, I'm not going to do it. And then I picked up St. Augustine, and I'm like, Confessions. I'm like, this is going to be hard. Not ready for this. Then I picked up the book again. I didn't even see the title. Just buy this. $11, bought it. So So we put St. Augustine there, we stayed there later on, And I started reading this book. I started reading, and I couldn't put it down. I'm like, oh my God, this is awesome. Just reading the book. And I started sharing with the girlfriend at the time, and she's like, that sounds like Saint Therese. And then I'm like, in Brazil we call her Teresinha, like little Teresa. Like, no, that's not her name. That's not her name. Therese of Lisieux. That's not Teresinha. And so what's the name of the book? Story of a Soul. That's Saint Teresa. I'm like, I don't care. So, well, when I finished the book, it was as if I had mirrors flashing my life. How much I offended, how much I've used people, how much I disfigured myself, how much wrong I've done, how much I've lost myself, how much I strayed away. There's something I want to share with you guys that I wrote this time. It really kind of puts in perspective what's going on in my mind that I wrote. A little reflection. It's really negative though, but it says, I have been many things to many people, some good, some bad. I have been many things to myself, many which were good, many which were bad. I have been many things that I'm ashamed for, and nothing that I'm proud for. I have been living a lie, closing my eyes to the light of the Son of Life, to follow my own accord. For quite some time, it was not possible for me to take a look at the disfigured image of the man I had become. For I was too lost in the passion of the distorted desire that had rotten my flesh from inside out. I have laughed, I have played, I have loved, I have tasted happiness. However, the sweet taste of life became sour when I gave into lust, when I have lied, when I have consciously pierced someone's heart through my words and thoughts, things I have done or failed to do. I'm being burned alive by the fire of truth for quite some time now. For quite a while, as the physical pain has been tolerable, the spiritual pain sometimes has been quite hard to bear. Actually, I would say it's impossible to bear if it wasn't for Him who has shown me the way, the truth, and life, through the sufferings necessary to learn from love. The image of conversion, the image that St. John of the Cross uses on a dark night, is an image of a wood on fire. So God's love is like this raging, burning, hungry fire that just wants to destroy everything in its way because He wants to be one with you. Fire wants to make fire. Like we have this kind of fake fire here. It's still fire, but the wood's still here. But when you throw wood in a fire, the first thing that happens becomes black. And after it becomes black, it becomes fire. It becomes one with fire. And when you open your heart to God and He starts pouring Himself in, this is what you see. The darkness, the blackness, all that stuff that needs to be changed. But the good news is that we cannot change those things. Only God can. So what started happening is that I started going to confession very frequently. I just could not offend God, and it became really scrupulous in a sense. I used to walk and say everything I could remember. I would get out and remember something. I'm like, oh my God, I couldn't even say this. But I would say, no, God forgives you if you don't abstain from saying it because of shame. You would have said it, but it just offended me so much and I couldn't do it. Prayer became like my refuge. I just dove into God, and God is like this bottomless abyss. The more you give yourself to Him, the more He takes you, and the more He opens this road, and you just go in, And the love that I was looking for, of not only loving but feeling loved, I found there. And He just purified everything so quickly that I went from being this lustful person that seriously was not able to stop the sex and masturbation, that kind of stuff, in a few months to just completely stop. It's a miracle. I fell a few times even afterwards in the first months. But the grace of God has been over 5 years. There's no desire to masturbate. There's, of course, women are always going to be beautiful. But He just took my heart. And like as Jeremiah says, He seduced me. I allowed myself to be seduced. And so that became my refuge. And what started happening is that the girlfriend at the time noticed. Because, I'll be with her, we'll start kissing, and I'll stop. Let's look at the moon, how beautiful. The stars, And she was like, what's happening to you? I couldn't kiss her. She was beautiful, but I felt like I just wanted to pray. But she had a sister that was a nun, and this girl, God's a comedian. this girl has a history. The first boyfriend she had thought about being a priest, but got married. The second boyfriend is in the seminary in Miami right now. I have the third one, I'm here. God has been merciful. She on the fourth one is the charm. She got married, you know. So she has a story. But if it wasn't for her at that point in time in my life, you know, God really used her as an instrument. And I started, not only Therese became a really good friend and a sister, but I started also hanging out with the secular Carmelites, thinking God just wants me to be more Catholic, more faithful, and that kind of stuff. So kind of freshly just show up at one of those meetings, you know, and it was me, maybe two dudes, and a bunch of old ladies, you know. And they looked at me and said, "What are you doing here?" I'm like, "Take their ass, probably." And she's like, "I'm going to pray for your vocation." I'm like, "I don't have a vocation. I just have a girlfriend right now." "I'm going to pray for your vocation." I'm like, whatever. And there was a priest there. She introduced me to him. He became my spiritual director. And when I talked to him the first time, it was actually funny. I went to a talk about John of the Cross, and he actually mentioned Capuchins on the first day. And he was saying about Capuchins in Cuba, because he's from Cuba, and the Capuchins were known for having a austere life, waking up early and praying, and these Capuchins were praying at 5 in the morning, and in the first row, they're always sleeping. So this guy that was saying the psalm during Mass, he said, kind of jokingly, "Lord, forgive them for they sleep." And they actually repeated that as a song, "Lord, forgive them for they sleep." So I met with him afterwards, and he told me, "You cannot serve two masters. You have to pick a master. You know, you cannot discern on the girlfriend at the same time. You have to let her go." So I called her that night, and we broke up. It was really hard because I didn't want to do it, but I knew that I had to. And I felt the biggest peace and joy in my heart. I wanted to feel bad for not feeling bad because she was feeling bad, and still I could not make myself feel bad. It was just strange. And then I wasn't really. Being a Capuchin never really crossed my mind at first. I really wanted to be just called Carmelite. But being as scatterbrained as I am, and I'm all over the place, I'm here, being a scientist here, then I see something there, the Jesuits because I'm a scientist, and diocesans, and then I go online. The word Capuchin always been in my mind, Capuchin. I'm like, oh, Cardinal Melli. I lived in Massachusetts for a year, he was bishop there. And then I started reading, and then I found a page of our province. It was like, requests for prayers. I'm like, "Oh, pray for me." "Sure, pray for me." So I got a message back. It was actually from Brother Kip, saying, "Would you like the vocation director to contact you when he gets back from the trip or whatever?" "Sure." This man right here. So he's actually in Brazil. He flies back from Brazil. He's like, "Oh, you're from Brazil. I think this is a sign from God. I just came back from Brazil." I'm like, "Yeah, right." Trying to sell it. Yeah, it's good. I'm not buying it yet. No. But he sent me a book called Francis, and I just destroyed the book. You know, just like, I really want to be Franciscan now. But I was very impulsive. And he told me, "Oh, hold on, you wait. Finish your PhD, you know, you got time, you blah, 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 think about it." But God had touched my heart, and I had given myself to him in such a way that I told him, "Just do whatever you want to do with me. I don't care where you go. Just do whatever." And I'm very dense when it comes to things of God. And I'm really Thomas. Like, if you want me to do something, you have to show me really. And then you really show me again. So that I know it another time too. Thank you. So I told him, "Take me wherever you want." And I used to have like a bracelet that had like pictures of saints. I don't know if you've seen those. And I had a cat at the time. And I was cleaning his ear, and he like tried to scratch me because he hurt him. And I just heard it snap. And I was like, "Oh crap, it broke." But when I looked down, I saw two little balls. And they were just like, look to see which two saints are together. Our Lady, Padre Pio. I'm like, "Oh, I guess I have to go to the Capuchin, you know?" So I called Father Tom, and I go there. And then I flew there. I remember meeting him the first time. I was like, "What am I doing? Oh my God, I want to go back into the plane. I want to go home. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here." And I see this friar coming with his hat. And I'm like, "What am I doing? Oh my God, I want to do it. I want to do this." And I'm in a car with him. And I'm petrified, you know. Are you really doing this, you know? And I said, "I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm pretty close to St. Therese. Why would she call me here? She's a Carmelite. Call me a bit Capuchin." He was like, "You know what? It's funny you say that, you know. I didn't believe in those things about saints and novenas, you know, praying for novenas and receiving roses. You know, somebody gave me a card that did it, and I received a rose. And he was praying for $90,000 for his church. And when he called the archdiocese to get the money, they said, "Father Tom Betts, you must really know somebody up there because I was told to give you whatever you asked me." And then he was like, "Oh." And he's like, I need $90,000. Like, it's yours. They already had, for some reason, they already had this money set aside for him. So and I was like, okay, that's kind of strange, you know. St. Therese here too, he's like, well, St. Therese, that's fine. And then when I walked into the room at the place I when I was visiting the first time, they were just like, you know, look to the corner of the room. I'm like, all right. The little medal there, picked it up, St. Therese. I'm like, okay, I'm getting the point. Okay, it's okay, you know. And then I called my mom. I was like, that's so strange, Mom. All these little signs happening and stuff. And then she goes, there's a nun visiting our house right now, and she has a relic of the flesh, St. Therese, first class relic. And I was just like, and he came to me, he's just like, when God calls you to give your life to Him, He takes your own place at your house. And I felt Therese was there, and I was like, oh my God. And I just started crying. I was like, this is too much. You have to stop, you know? But visiting here, no, I just felt peace. And I was like, oh God, I think God is calling me to this. I expecting all these trumpet blasts and angels coming from heaven. That didn't happen, you know? But, so that happened. I went back, and it was just really strange because I came back to lab. I had at least 2 years and a half worth of work. And in my heart was just like, you're not staying here for long. And I'm like, what? This makes no sense. 2 days later, my mentor sits me down and she says, well, let's plan all your experiments. We need to get you out of here. And I'm like, I didn't even tell anything to this lady. I'm like, okay. So it just so happened that she was working on my project. I had lab mates working on my project. I had a girl that did not stand me working on my project. Everybody was working on my project. So I finished what I needed to finish in 2 years and a year and a half. Actually, maybe 3 years I had left to work, and I finished a year and a half. Didn't finish me, by the grace of God. But what happened too is that when God calls you to Himself, He wants a hold of you. Our love is very selfish, as I was saying. We tend to get so stuck on the feelings and the bodies and the sensations that John Paul II says a lot of times it actually hides an inability to love. Because if it's just a feeling, like I said before, I'm loving myself. No, love has to be about the other person. And even sometimes love can be the feelings can be so strong and passionate, it doesn't say anything about true love. You know, true love is always a respectful decision, it's always a surrender of our own selves to another. And God uses often a suffering. As you're cleaning a white shoe, you need to really scrub it, you know, God uses a suffering. So He calls us to pick up our cross every day and follow Him. So everybody in my life turned against me. They thought I was going crazy. My mentor disowned me. She stopped speaking to me. I used to go in lab and I felt like I was not only unwelcomed, everything I've done in research, they redo my experiments because they could not believe anything I've done it. They'll get the same results and say, no, you're wrong. You know? And my pride and ego just say, just be crushed, you know? I tried to leave the lab twice and God didn't let me leave it. It's a really tough time in my life. But one day, this girl that was, God bless her, she was so annoying, but God bless her. She came up to me and said, where's the Virgin Mary right now? And all this kind of stuff. I'm like, you are mean, you know? And then I was like, I pray for strength, I pray for faith, I pray for love, I pray for all these things, and God gave me an opportunity to practice these. And I'm complaining. And suddenly it clicked. Like, this is the answer to my prayers. And just I became so happy. I'm like, no, that's fine, you know? And this other guy felt like he was just like the biggest thing. He was like bossing me around. I allowed him to boss me. And God gave me such a grace of even loving these people. And I even can claim that on myself, you know? And loving even my mentor, like she was like a mother figure to me, even when I was suffering like that. But it was really interesting because when God takes everything away from you, all you can do is cling to Him. And that was happening. He was preparing me to whatever was going to happen next. Then I have a meeting before, because we have these progress meetings every 6 months to see how progress is going. And I was expecting to finish on this specific meeting so I could go to postulates in Philadelphia that year, 2012. And because of no communication with my mentor, it was horrible. It stank. It was horrible. And I'm like, I'm not going to be able to go to postulates this year. It's done. It's finished, you know. And it's a funny thing because she was really against me being here, and she was the person that helped me the most. And she's a person that a lot of times taught me about God the most too. It's very strange. So she pushed them to have a meeting in 2 months. And I had another meeting, and not feeling like I was going to be able to finish, somehow they told me, you're done. It was the Feast of St. Anthony of Padua, and I was like, okay, I get the point again. You know, it's Franciscan, I get it. And God made me wait about 1.5 years before I joined. I've been very impulsive in a lot of sense. So you had purified a lot. And one may say, okay, you're done. You're wearing a habit. You pray every day. You have a spiritual director. You had mass. You had brothers. All that kind of stuff, But that's just the beginning. We are made of flesh and soul. We are not separate soul here and body here. We are these two things together. And we're always seeking love. Like God spoke to me, manifested himself to me as love, I asked him one day, if I was an atheist, because you made me, I somehow have to follow you and search for you. Because my life has no meaning without you. Even if I didn't believe in you, even if I don't love you, I have to seek you somehow. What are you? Somebody came to my heart, love. Everybody believes in love. Everybody seeks love. We don't see love. Love is personified, is incarnate. And God is love, as Scripture tells us. God is love. And then I started to see how, when I look in science, it's love. God himself, he came as love. He came as a son. He came as a result of a matrimony between the Creator and creation. God the Father and the Virgin Mary. Reading today in the Mass talked about it was not good for man to be alone, so God made a woman. And when the two come together, they become one flesh. God loves us to this point that he became one flesh with us in Jesus Christ. He embraced everything. God is always love. Baptism is love. It's matrimony. He unites us like fire. There's no more distinction. God does not create this separate. He just wants to be so much with us. He entered into the sin to the point of going to hell and taking everything upon himself so that just we were one with him. So love is always about oneness. Marriage is always about oneness. It's not about my happiness when you're doing things for me, like I mentioned before. No, you might have a very annoying husband for you didn't marry that leaves the socks all over the place and that kind of stuff, and really, drinking beer, watching TV all the time, that kind of stuff. But we're called to go through all of the people's imperfections. And the hardest cross to carry is the cross of a human condition. And it took God to bring me here to learn that. It's not about me. Religious life is not about me. What I'm talking about here, I'm talking about myself. I'm just talking about the mercy that God has done in my own life. He needed to give me brothers. He needed to take me to a place that I did not understand at first in order for me to learn how to let go of myself that I have not learned yet. I hope to learn one day. I strive to learn. But you start seeing how it's not so important of how you feel of what you want to do, your own expectations, or what God is doing. I have learned so much from people that I came in with all these expectations about being really holy and that kind of stuff, and I fell flat on my face. Because holiness is not so much you do, but it's how much we empty ourselves and allow God just to fill us with himself. And often he uses humans. That tension, that struggle, he might use a marriage, a relationship, in religious life, there are brothers sometimes that just drive you up the walls. But we love them because those are the ones that teach us really how to love. So it took me to lose everything in order to see everything. And the topic of this talk was about finding true love. Between meaningless relationships all the way to consecrated life. But in a sense, thinking about it is a little misleading because we don't find true love. True love finds us. So if I leave anything to you guys, allow God to speak to your heart wherever you find yourselves. Look back into your past, where people of remembrance. See the good things, see also the bad things. Give thanks to God for everything because he uses everything. He uses my sin to get me where I am. It's not because I deserve it where I am. He just called me because he had his plan. He loved me. He wants to use me. But even all the brokenness that I've been through, that I caused myself and others, that becomes a fountain of grace if I allow God to enter in. Because he's the biggest discipler. He can just change everything into love, everything into grace, everything into salvation. So I give thanks to him. I offer all of you to the heart of Jesus and Mary. And I beg you and I exhort you, just let yourselves into the hand of God. Trust in him. He'll not fail you. Amen? Amen.
Diogo and Brother Ross are going to delight us with the song. Yeah.
So this song is a song that we wrote in Washington, our first year. The guys from 270 Catholic asked, well, why don't you guys play a song for us and kind of stuff, and I wanted to play. And then I haven't played this song in a long time actually, and just went back to the songs and just felt like the words were a lot what we're talking about today, so I'm gonna play that. I didn't have a title yet, it's a work in progress, so maybe if you guys hear next time it might actually be different, so oh, praise God.
Thank you guys also for coming and being part of this. If you haven't joined our emailing list, please join it, especially if you're going to stop going on Facebook for Lent. Remember? Next week, Ash Wednesday. We're also going to pass around some clipboards if anybody's interested in the small groups. If you're interested in being part of our ministry, please let one of us know. Again, please, leadership team, raise your hand. I just want to give you a quick rundown of our activities. Bible studies are coming up this week. We have Bible studies Sunday, Monday, and Tuesdays, different locations, so please look up our website or look on Facebook. It also should be in our emailing list. We have also Bible study in Spanish at St. Jude's on Monday, so that's new. The 21st, Saturday the 21st is the day of service with DC Catholic, so please sign up if you guys are interested in doing some service. Tuesday 24th, Christ in the City, St. Mary's in Rockville, starts at 7:30. Some time alone with God, definitely very, very special for Lent. And the second Sunday dinner, March 8th. That's at Gordon Beers at 6 o'clock, 6:30. And Theology on Tap is the March 12th, the second Thursday. It's going to be the second Thursday of each month. And keep a lookout, save the date. There's going to be a night at the shrine, an evening with St. John Paul II at St. John Paul II Shrine. They will have a mass and then a tour of the exhibits. It's only going to be for the young adults, and that's coming up Friday, March the 20th. So please keep yourself in the loop. If you have not joined us, have not liked us, please like us. We're likable. And thank you so much for coming. Please remember to tip your servers and have a good night.